That's what life is all about.
This is Talkin' Baseball with Marty Lurie.
That's what we do. We talk ball.
On KNBR, the sports leader.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Talkin' Baseball as we get ready for the 2025 baseball season. It's great to be back with you. As we said in the open, year 29, well, that was last year. This is year 30 for us of talking baseball in the Bay Area. Really incredible, and for Raf and I, this is year 20 for us being together doing these shows. So I'm thrilled to be here. Who knows what this season is going to bring? You know, as I say it all the time, it's the mosaic. You never know what that picture is going to look like, and you get to spring training, and you just want to play ball. You want to look at some of the new players. You want to see the players who are recovering from injury. But it's a beautiful time of year. Arizona is gorgeous. We have our opener today in Scottsdale with the home opener, that is. The Giants did win yesterday 6-1 against the Texas Rangers. And we have a full season ahead of us of baseball with a story every day, and you never know where it's going to go, and you never know how it's going to end up. And last year, of course, the World Series with the Dodgers beating the Yankees, and the Yankees kind of giving it away, giving that big home run to Freddie Freeman, then Aaron Judge dropping a ball in center field, and Dodgers took advantage of it, and they became world champions. So you never know what's going to happen, and that's the beauty of a baseball season. The weather in Arizona is absolutely gorgeous. If you're on your way down here, you're going to have some really good weather. Next week, I know we're going to touch the 80s, which for people who live down here in Arizona, we get a little nervous. It's getting that warm that early, but it's baseball weather, and it's just a great time of year to be here. As I said yesterday, the Giants win 6-1 over the Rangers. They got a big home run from a catcher by the name of Sam Huff, and from their phenom rookie first baseman, Bryce Eldridge, almost knocked it out of Surprise Stadium, 450 feet. Well, we'll talk about that later on in the show. But as we traditionally do, for all the time I've been on at KNBR, and this is year 16 for me being on at KNBR, and he brought me here along with Lee Hammer, and that is the president and CEO of the San Francisco Giants, and that is Larry Baer. Larry, good morning.
Hey, Marty. How you doing? What a great day. I love this. When we started off, you'll have hours and hours of Giants talk for the next, 7 months or so, but we're so it's an honor and fun to be on with you at the very beginning. I heard a little bit of your open, and you said what? So it's 30 years of baseball in the Bay.
Yeah, 30 years. I started in 1996. Believe it or not, at KECG, little 88.1 FM, and started there and started the actual talk show in 98. And came to KNBR where you and Lee Hammer brought me over in 2010. How about that?
That's incredible. I was thinking about it. And this is now the Giants' 143rd year, New York and San Francisco together. And I believe I've done the math right. It's 67 years in San Francisco, right? So we are approaching, in another less than a decade, there'll be more years in San Francisco than New York.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I was thinking about the stadium. Come on, the stadium, 2000, and we're starting, this is 2025, and it's still, it's funny. It still looks like it was built yesterday.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that's the goal, right, is to make it feel new, fresh, new attractions, etc. It's interesting, Marty. Some of us around the ballpark who have been there since 2000 say, God, it's what year is this for the new stadium?
It's
the
true.
New ballpark. Well, it's the 26th year of the new ballpark now. So, and I have to say, there's a feeling, and I know you feel it. You're so close to him, as were so many. That this year is different because we don't have Willie with us at 24 Willie Mays Plaza, and we don't have Orlando with us to start a season. And I think, all the tributes were held last year for two of the greatest Giants ever. There is a feeling, a kind of a tug in your heart when you walk into Scottsdale, and then we'll walk into Oracle Park April 4th for the opener, and not to have Willie or Orlando with us.
Yeah, but something, that's part of baseball, and what we love about it is they never die. Those moments live on forever, whether it's Orlando on deck in 1962 and McCovey facing Ralph Terry, or Willie hitting home run number 600, and that swing and running around the bases. Those images, that's what sells baseball. And that's why the generations connect, and you do it as well as anybody. Honestly, it is such a valuable asset that the Giants do connect the time.
Well, it's so important, and so we'll all be feeling them with us through the year and the years going forward, and then we think about connecting some Giants of the next generations, whether it's Barry. We have Matt Williams over at third base. We have Bob Melvin, who managing the team, who was with us, and then you think you leap forward another generation, and here's Buster, president of baseball operations, and and folks that he played with that are in and around the team, right? And Randy Wynn has an important role in the organization, as well as folks that you'll see in spring training coming down for all sorts of coaching assignments, whether it's Hunter Pence, Rich Aurelia, etc. You hear him on the broadcast, Kruk and Kipe and Hunter, Javi Lopez. So that is a part of who we are. We're really proud of it, and we have such wonderful former players, alumni that represent us so well.
Well, we love it, and that's what it's all about. Let's talk about a couple of things you mentioned. One is the difference this year. Now, let's face it. Come on, Buster Posey is in charge of the organization, and I've said this before. You need players, and I understand he wants baseball played the right way. You will see a better brand of baseball this year at the ballpark. You never know where it's going to go, but Buster Posey and what his attitude is and the morale that I've seen in the first week of being down here, it's a much more, I don't want to say professional, but they're here for business. And I think that's really what Buster brings to the organization.
Absolutely, Marty. I mean, I think, a couple of things that stand out. Buster, I think he said this in his opening press conference, and he says this repeatedly around the office because, the two things that really do matter are players and fans. And we're all supporting characters here. We play various roles, but it's the players and the fans. And we've got to, create the environment where we can get the right players and the best players, and make sure that the fans are connected to them and the fans see who we have, and there's an accessibility to the players from the fans, both on television, on radio, and especially in the ballpark. And so those are critical, and Buster has talked about that. He sees very much the big picture. The other thing is just observing Buster through his period now since he was accepted the position back in October. He's what we call, I think in business term, a culture carrier. Mm-hmm. Meaning that the culture, and Marty, as you've seen so many clubhouses through the years, the culture in the clubhouse is really important. Yep. And in the years we won championships with Buster, and no fan graphs, and all the baseball pundits were not predicting us to be the world champs, but the culture of the team was really strong. And I think Buster, while it's I don't think we expect like complete overnight things change overnight. But I think that Buster really will have a big impact in that respect as we go through.
Well, I see it already. I see it already, believe me, through the workouts. A couple of things before we let you go here. You know, it is our first show, and the mayor should follow you, we hope, Mayor Daniel Lurie, and, of course, Bruce Jenkins and Woe for our hour here. But Bryce Eldridge, there's a lot of excitement about Bryce Eldridge, the young 20-year-old. Larry hit a ball yesterday. You could hear it at 450 in surprise and went out. And you talk about hope of spring training, and that's what I really want to talk about. Spring training is hope. It's optimism. Everyone feels great. And then all of a sudden you see the phenom who comes from nowhere, and he knocks one 450 feet, and you say, wow, that's baseball.
Yeah, no, for sure. And look, I mean, we want to, while we don't want to over promote it, you know, when Buster, just take Buster, who we were just talking about, when he arrived on the scene in 2009 briefly, and then for good in 2010, and also, you know, you go back to Tim Lincecum and others, when they arrived, there was this great expectation. And so while you don't want Bryce, everybody to be so focused on him with the pressure and, you know, and all, but the other hand, he really is something for our fans to look forward to, we believe. And yesterday in his first spring training game, he went 450 feet. I happened to be in San Francisco yesterday, and John and Dwayne almost, you know, fell out of their chairs on the radio call. It was spectacular. And so we're really excited about him and others that will be coming along. I think there's also going to be a real focus to show the minor leagues to the players in the minor leagues to our major league fans here in San Francisco, because and we're somewhat blessed really to have, you know, two of our four minor league teams within driving distance of Oracle Park, right, in Sacramento and in San Jose. So that's a good thing, and we encourage them to follow their progress. And assuming Bryce starts in Sacramento, you know, you'll be able to check in on him, and then hopefully, knock on wood, as he makes the trek to San Francisco whenever he does.
It's going to be fun. Look, we're always chasing the Dodgers. We have a future Hall of Famer and Justin Verlander on the team, and he couldn't be happier to be here. Willie Adames hits home runs in spring training and every at-bat in batting practice. So it's the beauty of the stories. It's bonding again with baseball. It's the optimism, and the feeling is you never know what's going to happen. You got to pitch, you got to catch the ball, and play 162, and that's what we're here to do. So that's my story.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun, Marty, this year, and I think we all see how the game has evolved as we talk about all through the years, and how teams change during the course of a season. And I know lots of discussion now, and the team you see on the field on opening day, April 4th, when we play the Mariners, our home opener, and the opener of the season, as you know, is a week before March 27th in Cincinnati. The team you see there probably will change to with the team that you see in September, and hopefully we're fighting for the division, fighting for a playoff spot with those teams, and I think we're going to see. We'll be able to evaluate what we have this year, and certainly Willie Adames and Justin Verlander, big adds for us, and see how some of the younger players develop. You know, and really look at a guy like Ramos, who was, you know, wasn't this time last year, wasn't clear whether he was going to be on the team, and he wasn't on the team for periods early in the season, and then he's an all-star. To your point about, you know, the mosaic and how things change and go up and down, and so we're excited to get going, and we're excited to have the tremendous response of the fans. Everybody's, you know, seems super excited for this new era.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's going to be a lot of fun because you can pitch, and if you can pitch, you're in it. And the Giants have a lot of pitching down here, I'll tell you that, and you'll see it once you come down here and watch some of the games. Larry, great to have you on.
Logan, look forward to our ace starting today. The folks watching the game today in Scottsdale Stadium will be able to see Logan Webb. Which, and he's our opening day pitcher as well. And Roop was good yesterday, and
Come on. It's spring training. Everything feels good. That's the way it should be.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Well, all right.
Look forward to a great year with you, Marty, and
Thank you.
Wonderful to hear your voice on the radio.
I know. Thank you so much. All right, Larry. Have a good day.
Take care.
All right. Coming up next, I think, if he's here, it should be the mayor of San Francisco. I like his name, Daniel Lurie. And we'll do that when we come back right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Everyone likes a party, but everyone loves a party at Original Joe's. With 3 private dining rooms, it's the perfect spot to hold your next big event. From christenings to corporate gatherings, we'll make your next party San Francisco special. Original Joe's, see you at the counter.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boys.
It's been a pleasure working with Rick Robin this year. Rick Robin, R-O-B-B-E-N, NapaConstruction.com. Rick, the last time you were on with us, you told us about kitchen and bath remodeling, but there's a lot more going on up in your area.
Yes, there is. ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units, which are nose to drain units. We can do your existing garage, attached garage, even building a new unit in the back. And so what we do is come out, bring an architect out there, no sewer hookup fees, no water hookup fees. So that's what we do.
Rick, how does one start the process with you? How does one get in touch with you?
Oh, you call Tammy, 707-332-7575, 7 days a week.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com. Rick, the thing I like about this, no problem for me. You come out with the plans, the permits, everything is in-house, no fees, and you get a new unit that you can rent out and get money back on your investment right away. I like it, Rick.
Thanks, Marty. Love talking to you.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com.
Bunch of newcomer at first. There goes Howell, and the ball is hammered high and deep to center field. Way back there. Goodbye! High up onto the grass-covered hillside, almost up into a grove of cacti out there. Spectacular home run for Bryce Eldridge.
Giants fans, there's no better way to set the game day table than talking baseball with Marty Lurie. Marty keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we get ready for baseball today. The Giants and the Reds from Scottsdale, Logan Webb on the hill. Well, a pleasure to bring in the mayor of San Francisco. I love his name, and that is Mayor Daniel Lurie. Mayor, how are you?
Great, Marty. How are you this morning?
I'm doing really well, and I'm just so happy to have you on. And This is a very exciting time of year. I was thinking about you this morning, and I was thinking about the race for mayor and the race in a baseball season and the ups and downs of it. And you have to just stay with it, and you never know where it's going to go.
I think that's a good analogy. I think it's much also like governing. There's going to be ups and downs, but you stay with it. You stay focused. You don't get too high. You don't get too low. And it's definitely a team game, as I'm learning, whether it's department heads, supervisors. What is great about this time, at least at City Hall, that is similar to where we are in the baseball season, is it's a new day in the city. And there's a sense of hope and optimism. And there are some good vibes around San Francisco right now, coming off the NBA All-Star Weekend, spring training starting, and it's just a great time to be in San Francisco.
No, come on. Then we got the Super Bowl coming up, and that's what spring training is all about. And, you know, you've listened to me for years. It's the optimism. It's the Bryce Eldridge knocking one out yesterday and saying, boy, is he going to be the next phenom? It's the stories we read as a kid, and it translates into the community, and that's what I think is so important for you and San Francisco.
I'm so excited to learn about these new young players, and then we also got Logan Webb going on the bump today, and starting it's his fourth straight season as our opening day starter, so that's exciting. He's incredible, but he needs some help this year. So I'm curious what you think about our pitching and defense. I know Buster's plan is to get back to pitching and defense. Seems to be the order of the day.
Well, I love the pitching. Number one, I think there's a new attitude, as I just told Larry Baer. The morale is really good. There's a lot of hungry young players here. They didn't do a lot in free agency, bring in Justin Verlander and Willie Adames. So they're really turning to the younger players to have another big year and to grow a little bit. But pitching-wise, there's a lot of depth here. Robbie Ray is healthy. He's a former Cy Young Award winner.
Right.
Logan Webb, you know, he's solid as can be. Verlander, if we can get him out of spring training healthy, he's still got it. And he still is 38 games away from 300. But he walks around like a coach, and he really fits in well. Roop yesterday pitched extremely well. Birdsong has been very strong. And then you get Hicks, and then you get Kyle Harrison, who's a little bit behind with an injury. But the starting staff, that's just the ones that we know about. There's a whole new wave coming behind them. But today, like government, I'm sure in government there's certain aspects which are the keys to the future. The keys to an important season and a winning season in baseball is the bullpen. And that's where the Giants have 7 or 8 pitchers in that bullpen. And I'll tell you, Daniel, I stood behind Duvall just to watch him pitch. That ball comes out of his hand, and I'll tell you, if he has command, he is so tough. Electric. And then you have Ryan Walker behind him. So for me, pitching and defense is the key, and I think they can pitch.
Great. That's good to hear you say that. I know we've struggled past our first couple of starters the last few years, and so that's exciting. We still have to go up this just dominant spending of the Dodgers, but pitching and defense can beat great hitting. So so hopefully we can get there. I want to go back. You said the bullpen's important, and going back and forth on government and baseball. I actually had the honor talking to Coach Kerr this week about teams and building teams. We're trying to do that at City Hall and building up the morale and that culture. And that is, I think, the biggest challenge and area of growth that we need at City Hall, where we're all on the same team. You know, politics has a way of dividing people. I'm trying to build a team over there. And we have great people working for the city and county of San Francisco who are working really hard. They want to be led, just like, Major League Baseball players want to be led. So it's really important to get the Verlanders, to help coach and mentor those young people. You know, we have some rookie first-time department heads, but we also have department heads that have been around the city for 25 years, and integrating all of those people into one team working for one common goal, which is the people of San Francisco and getting results. So I very much look at my job like a coach, like someone that is trying to build a team, and we're in early days, but we're off to a great start.
Boy, I love it. Mayor Daniel Lurie is with us. Now, we have Mardi Gras coming up, which is our little welcome to the season. We do it every year at Original Joe's in North Beach. And it's
Marty, I saw John last night. I saw him last night at the Italian Athletic Club. There was a great event over there that I stopped by. Oh, my God, so fun. And you can't go wrong at Original Joe's. I'm going to try to swing by with Sawyer, but he's got sports and all sorts of things. But I'm excited for your Mardi Gras.
Yeah, we want to have you there, even just to say hello to the fans. You'll be amazed and you know the restaurant at Original Joe's and the Dugans are so generous to us, but you'll be amazed to see the cross-section of people that come there, and it's just to celebrate the night before the home opener. So we'd love to have you there. We're hoping that...
I'm going to do my best to be there. I'm going to do my best.
Absolutely. All right, now... Are you lefty or righty? You're gonna throw out the first pitch this year? It should be a nice honor.
I'm a righty. I'm a righty, and actually yesterday morning a few of us threw out the first pitch in tandem with SFYBL's opening day for Kids Little League here in San Francisco. So I got a little practice yesterday. I got out with my friends and threw the ball around yesterday morning, and I'm going to keep warming up, getting ready for April 4th.
All right. As I always tell people, just a nice arc helps a lot.
Well, Brian Murphy said that I need to clear the mechanism. That was his advice to me from a Kevin Costner movie. So I'm getting lots of advice.
I like it. I like it. Well, you're a great baseball fan, and the family is connected with baseball. You've been a fan all your life. What is it about spring training? Just to have John on the radio, to see a game on TV, and just to be connected again. What is it that brings people together about baseball?
Well, I think it's this time of season. Hope springs eternal. John Miller came into City Hall with Barry Bonds. We had Barry Bonds Day, 2/5/25, just a couple of weeks ago. So I got to meet Barry and spend some time with him, and I got to spend time with John, and just his voice in the lead-in to our segment got me excited and fired up. I mean, he's a legend. I remember listening to the Giants, but also the A's and Ray Fosse, and I don't know, it just brings back good childhood memories, whether I went to spring training or going to opening days. And there's no better day in San Francisco than opening day here in the city. I mean, it's just once again, I'm big on vibes, and you can't beat the vibes early season and spring training when it comes to baseball season anywhere. So you get to be in some warm weather, although it's beautiful up here in San Francisco today.
Let's talk about one other thing before we let you go, and that is what's going on around the park, and certainly around Chase Center, what you've done down there, and we see all the different things going on in different cities, building up around the ballpark, making it a whole experience. Are we going to have that around Oracle?
So what was amazing about last weekend, besides bringing hundreds of thousands of people from around the country and frankly the world for the NBA All-Star Game, we also had the Lunar New Year parade, which had hundreds of thousands of people along the parade route. Marty, we had a great weekend last weekend here in San Francisco, and we showed the world what we all know in San Francisco, and that is that not only can we pull off multiple events in one day or one weekend and come through shining, but that we're the greatest city in the world when we're at our best, and we're going to get back there. What's happening around Chase is really incredibly exciting. Joe has done a great job there, and the Warriors organization, and the Giants have as well. Now, I will say we need to work on 3rd Street. We need to work on Townsend. There's some work to do there, and we're focused on bringing business back to San Francisco. Wherever I go, I'm telling business leaders, both small business and big business, that San Francisco's once again open for business. And what better place to put your business than around one of these great stadiums or ballparks? And I'm excited to see kind of the life and energy come back as the season gets started again. But we have to start with clean and safe streets, and then those boarded up, some of those boarded up windows and shops, we'll fill them, and we're going to work hard to do that. But the Giants have just done, Larry and his team have just done an incredible job, and I'm excited to not only partner with them, but the Warriors as well.
Terrific. I'm thrilled. I can't wait to see you. Hope you make it April 3rd to Original Joe's for Mardi Gras. And then opening day, I want to see you on the mound. So I'm thrilled to have you on the show, and I really respect everything you did. And you won. You ran a great campaign, and the city supported you, and I'm just thrilled for you.
Thank you, Marty. It's an honor to be on with you. It's an honor to serve the people of San Francisco. Let's go Giants, and let's go San Francisco.
All right. Mayor Daniel Lurie. Daniel, thanks. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too.
All right. More coming up. Boy, that was fun. I even have goosebumps a little bit for having Mayor Daniel Lurie on. Bruce Jenkins next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Gene Bagato checked in from the Tides up in Bodega Bay, and he said while the crab season hasn't produced great quantities, the crabs that have been delivered have been excellent. Down at the wharf, fresh crab is readily available for guests to enjoy, either in the restaurant or in the fish market to take home, along with all of the other varieties of seafood delicacies. And across the highway up at the inn, large, comfortable rooms are readily available at winter rates for those who want to get away but don't want to deal with 8 hours driving up to Tahoe. So if you're looking to get away for the day or a weekend, remember the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in beautiful Bodega Bay.
Look through the window of the original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Lurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us as we're joined by Bruce Jenkins. Bruce, good morning. How are you?
Doing well, Marty. How's it going?
Well, it's going well, and here we are again. It's the optimism of spring training. Everyone is in great shape. Everyone's a phenom, and the kid knocked one 450 yesterday. That was pretty good.
Oh, you know what a great way to open the exhibition season. Everybody's talking about this guy, and he just bought himself a week of strikeouts, I think, because they're still going to be talking about that ball he hit yesterday. What I liked about it is that he talked about, with 2 strikes, he was trying to shorten up a little bit, and Bob Melvin said trying to put the ball in play, but that's a big thing. I mean, too many guys, 2 strikes, are still putting the launch angle on it and going for the downs and coming up empty, and he put a good swing on it, obviously, and he hit it 450 feet, but everybody's talking about this guy, and he came out of the gate firing, so that was really terrific.
Yeah, Bryce Eldridge is who we're talking about. And look, for whatever I know, and not much, but I want to tell you, that swing is pretty cool. And I don't want to say it's Will Clark, but there's just something about that left-handed swing. Bruce, I'm telling you, he's got the swing.
Yeah, and everyone's different. I mean, nobody quite swung the bat or followed through like Will Clark. If you put a silhouette on him where you can't see anything but the body, you know that's Will Clark. And right there, Tony Oliva, Willie Stargell, Joe Morgan, everybody's a little different. But
yeah.
I wouldn't say it's distinctive, but it's very, very solid. It's not apparently he doesn't overswing. And we'll just see how it goes. He's had trouble at times, especially at the end of last year. He came up through so many teams in the system. I think by the end he might have been a little bit spent. He was just flying through the system from thinking, geez, this guy going to be in the bigs by September, but he'll be here soon enough.
Yeah, it's funny, as I mentioned on the show from time to time, baseball is a game now of 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds. And the Giants have brought a number of them up, and they were okay. Now the question is, can they get to the next level? And that's really part of this ball club this year, to see whether the Casey Schmidts can become another type of player.
Yeah, you mentioned Schmidt. I've always been in his corner, and he's in a tough spot right now because the whole left side of the infield is very much taken. And, I'm kind of hoping that he wins the second base job. I think he is a better fielder than Fitzgerald, and of course his arm is as good as anyone's. But he has to hit, so we'll see about that. But that's they'll give him a chance. I like Luciano in the outfield. I think that's where he ought to be. Much more relaxing. He's a good athlete. He can hit. That could be a new lease on life for him. And needless to say, with all the young pitchers they're going to look at, it's very promising. It's a time where you just focus on the team. You don't think about the standings or the division or anything else. Just where are we really at, and are we going to be entertaining and productive?
Yeah, well, the Justin Verlander experiment, so far so good. Let me see when he pitches this week, just to see what he looks like. My hope is he gets out of here, Arizona, healthy. That's the hope. But to watch him around the ball club, Bruce, it's interesting. When they do the bullpens in spring training, they have 8 pitchers lined up doing bullpens in one of the back fields. He's right there behind the cage. He's watching everybody. He's making suggestions. And then he goes out and he throws 95.
Yeah, he just does that as a matter of course. He's always been that kind of guy. Great clubhouse guy, always trying to help out people. It's not like he said, he said the Giants told him to be a mentor. He's just naturally that way. And for heaven's sake, you listen to a guy like Verlander. He explains himself so well, and his track record's ridiculous, and he still looks like he could win 15 games. So that's great. I'd also say, Marty, the fact that you're down in Scottsdale is so invaluable. I would tell fans, make the pilgrimage to get down there. The Giants' TV schedule this spring is really horrible. Just like last year, it's inexcusable, really. I mean, here they open up. Yesterday, they're not on TV. I don't think they will be for a week. There's only 4 altogether they're on TV.
I know.
They might be on the MLB network. I think I saw them even soon against the Angels. But when you're there, you can pick your spots, sit where you want, maybe check whatever's available for you to look at, and just to see the games in person. It's just a delightful thing to do, period.
Well, you and I had a lot of fun doing it. We've been doing these shows probably for 25 years, but my greatest thrill was sitting there somewhere behind home plate with you watching the game. That's what baseball was all about for me.
Well, that's what I would always do. I'd get down. The press box is a pretty good seat, but when you're right behind the plate, it's just classic. You're down there. You got Gary, the guy who owned the Grotto. I think that place is gone now, but it's a familiar cast of characters, and sitting next to a bunch of people who really know what they're looking at, and you can see you couldn't get any closer to the game. Those are very fond memories for me.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Gary because he called me the other day, and we would sit there, and he'd be 2 sections over, and he had the distinctive New York voice. Hey,
very much
guys!
So, yeah.
Hey, Jenkins! Over here!
Exactly.
And Stefan would be down there, too, and I don't know. It really is a bonding time for baseball and for us, and we've been through it for so many years. You never know where it's going to go, so we're going to have a good season. You and I have a lot to talk about. The Vladimir Guerrero story is a good story. The Giants somehow are in the mix there. Let's see where that goes.
Yeah.
Ellie Dela Cruz, a big day yesterday. There's some great baseball stories, so I'm looking forward to doing this with you every Sunday, and we'll have fun. We'll have fun.
No, absolutely. I mean, you look at Juan Soto, first at bat for the Mets.
How about that?
Gone, out of here. Bryce Eldridge-like. I mean, there's so many great things going on. The Yankees have rebuilt themselves, I'd say pretty nicely after losing Soto, and the Mets are always going to be a story. I think San Diego's kind of interesting because they've been a team to fear with that great lineup, but then they lose a couple guys here and there, and the ownership thing is really a mess. The Padres owner who passed away was extremely generous. He just lived to build a good team, an entertaining team. Don't ask me if I'm worried about the money, because I'm not. But when he passed, his heirs are kind of the flip side. They're feuding with each other, and it's a real negative sort of vibe around the team. And maybe it's just a spring training thing, but they still are pretty loaded. But it's not. It doesn't feel the same around that team.
No. Well, my feeling is, I'll say it as we wrap it up, just get in.
Yeah.
That's the story. Just get in, and anything can happen. And if you can pitch, you can get in, and that's the story. So we'll see. All right.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that, the Dodgers got knocked off before last year. Their previous 2 appearances, they got knocked off by teams in their own division. See you later.
And they should have lost. So. And the Padres should have knocked them out last year, to tell you the truth. That's right. And they let them get away. But
yeah.
Boy, I'm so glad to have you on and to hear your voice. And we'll do this every Sunday. And enjoy the day. And I'll catch up with you during the week, and we'll talk.
Love it, as always. Thanks, Marty.
All right, terrific. Boy, what a thrill to have Bruce Jenkins with us. All right, we'll take a break. The Professor's next, right here on the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Hello again, Marty Lurie here to talk about my good friends at Georgie Brothers, the largest family-owned furniture store in the entire Bay Area. Right now and good through March 17th, you can save hundreds of dollars on my favorite line of furniture, Stressless. I own Stressless Furniture, and I can tell you it's the most comfortable place to sit in my home. Visit them at GeorgieBrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. And remember, tell them that Marty sent you.
Fans, for great baseball gear, check out Baseballism. The store is located at 3rd and King opposite the ballpark. Whether it's jackets, shirts, hats, you name it, Baseballism is the most unique store I've seen. It is the best. 3rd and King, right opposite the ballpark.
Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Lurie.
I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
On your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. Like the way you think.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
Fans, I love that introduction. You know what that means. The professor is here, and that is Ron Wotus. And he is the longest tenured coach in San Francisco Giants history. And, of course, he is the advisor to Buster Posey and others and anyone who will listen to him. But it is Sunday morning, and we bring in the professor, Ron Wotus. Well, how are you?
I'm doing great, Marty. I'm down in Arizona. The weather's already in the 80s, as you well know. There's a great attitude in camp, and things are looking really good.
Well, you know, this is year 16 for you and me doing these shows. How about that?
That's hard to believe. You know what that means, Marty? We're getting older.
Well, I am. You're not. But it's true. We've had a lot of fun doing this. But, you know, spring training always is special. And it's a new look in spring training, let's face it, with Buster Posey there and a lot of the former players there. You've been there for so many years. What is the atmosphere like now compared to other years? Can you tell?
Well, for me, it's a throwback atmosphere. It's what I was used to the majority of my career as a coach with San Francisco. You know, our leadership is a guy that played. We have some great Giants in camp right now. JT Snow's here. Hackman's here. Santiago Casillas here. And there's going to be a number of guys coming. I'm sure the fans have read about that. It's always great to have them around, especially here with, Bryce Eldridge. JT will be here. Will Clark will be here. But these people have so much to offer. And so the whole attitude, the expectation, the trust in each other, it's really nice to see. So it's completely different than it was, last year, I should say, in spring training. And everybody's in a good mood.
Yeah, isn't it funny about spring training when you do come in, no matter where you are, and you did it as a player, everybody's in the best shape of their lives. Their legs feel great. They're going to have the best season of their lives, and everything is perfect until you start playing the games.
Well, you're right. And, even playing the games early, we tend to over-evaluate. Guy has a good game, and, wow, that guy looked good. This guy looked really, really good. And next thing you know, 20, 25, 27 days from now, especially the last week of spring training, things start to look a little different. And, the players and who's going to make the team and who's going to AAA kind of takes care of itself. So you can't get too excited, right, Marty, in spring training early and just in general, because it's a different, the ball carries, et cetera, et cetera. We've talked about this for many years.
All right, so the lineup today, it's always, you never know who's going to be ready, but it looks like today McRae will be in there, Adames will be in there, Yastrzemski, Encarnacion, Flores, of course, Bailey. Wisely had a couple of hits yesterday. Casa in there perhaps, and Alcantara. What do you think about the lineup today?
Well, everybody's going to get an opportunity. These guys, we really don't want them playing back-to-back yet. It's going to be nice to see Adames. He didn't play yesterday. We were on the road playing Boch's Club over there in Surprise. And now we're home, so he gets the home start. It'll be fun to see him. It'll be good to see Flores back, who's in great shape and was, hurt with the knee last year. So, we're going to get a look at everybody. But, Bailey's first start. So it's nice to get him in there. And then tomorrow, of course, Marty, we have a split squad. So you're going to see limited playing time by some of these guys because we just want to break them in slow because the number one thing is get out of spring training healthy and in shape. So it's still real early to push anybody out there to play.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Roop looked pretty good yesterday, Will.
Yeah, he looked real good. Curveball looked good. He threw strikes. I think we threw 120-something pitches in the game, and 75% were strikes. I heard that this morning in the meeting from JP, our pitching coach, and that is just unbelievable. If you can do that during the season, you're going to win a lot of games.
Well, I like it. And Webb goes today. Webby today, he has been named the opening day starter for the Giants. How about that?
Yeah, great for him. I think it's the fourth year in a row. I didn't read the article, but I think there's not a lot of guys that have opened, 4 straight years in a row. So happy for him. It would be good to get a look at him. But again, we know what Webby can do, right? We just want him to get his work in, and it's the first time on the mound, so I'm sure he's excited to be back out there.
Yeah, he's in that category with Bumgarner, Lincecum, and people like that. But Marichel's got the lead with 6. So this is the fourth for Logan Webb. Let's talk River Islands for a second. Talked to Colleen a little bit this week, and more than 4,000 homes have been built and sold to date, making Lathrop the fastest-growing city in Northern California last year. How about that? But this is the one that gets me. You and I talk about the Boathouse all the time, the restaurant. Well, listen to this. The Redwood Cafe is moving, quite literally, from Modesto to a site in our new town center. The actual restaurant will be lifted, put on transporters, and driven down the freeway to its new location in early April. How about that?
Oh, my goodness. That's like the nice wood bars that come from Ireland into the Irish pubs, right? They're built in Ireland, and they ship them over here. They're going to move the whole restaurant. I didn't know that. Only you have that information, Marty. That's fantastic. And you know what? As great as the Boathouse is, that place is always packed. So it's going to be nice to have another place right there that you can walk to and eat because they have so much of the other stuff, right? So it'll be nice to have another dining spot right there in town.
No, absolutely. I'm looking forward for us talking about that one. Eldridge, yesterday, and I know you've loved the kid, and he works hard. He's a big kid. And he hit one yesterday almost out of the park in Surprise. What about that?
Yeah, look, the first at bat, he struck out looking, and then the second at bat, it kind of reminded me of Barry Bonds. Barry would come into spring training, and his first at bat, he'd hit a homer. It felt like every year. But Eldridge really tattooed one, and when you see that on a major league field, you watch him in A-ball, AA, AAA. but when you see it on a major league field against major leaguers, it's really impressive. So the power was there, and I'm sure that the major league staff that hasn't seen him was impressed with that. But what impressed me more was the session we had with him yesterday morning with myself, Matt Williams, and JT Snow working on defense. We have him out there, a lot, trying to, speed up his development. He had a real good session, and so if he continues to improve, it's a good thing. He's working extremely hard as well. He's got a great attitude. So there's a lot to like about Bryce Eldridge.
Yeah, and why not? Look, all over baseball, 20-year-olds are breaking in, 20-year-olds doing this and that. Why can't the Giants have one? And so I say, yeah, more power to him and just learn to play his position. Yeah, I heard from JT yesterday. He wants to be on the show. We'll get him on next week and talk first base with him and certainly about Eldridge. Well, whoa, you're back in spring training. The weather's great today in Arizona. The Reds are in town to play the Giants, and it's 2025. Not bad, huh?
No, as you said, spring training, everybody's great. Everybody's tied for first. People are feeling good, going to have the best years. Hopefully you and I could have a great number 16 year for the show here. So, Marty, keep up the great work. You do a fantastic job, and I know the fans are real happy to hear you back in the air.
All right, appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week, Will. Take care.
Okay, you too.
All right, that is the Professor, Ron Wotus. A couple of things. One, the show is an hour, and there's so much more to talk about. We do a YouTube show. I do one. It's called Marty, Lurie, and Friends Talking Baseball. So go to YouTube, Marty, Lurie, and Friends Talking Baseball. We try to do one midweek, and it's another hour show, but we catch up on all the things that we sort of talk about on this show and things that we can't have time to get on the air. So subscribe. It's a lot of fun, and we're trying to do that. So we've been doing it. It's archived. You can see it there. The other thing is Kerry Crowley is coming up now, and we love Kerry and Nancy, his mother, and his sisters and everyone else. And his dad died, FX Crowley, a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful man, passed away last week. And I know he fought very hard to the end. But my feelings go out to Kerry and the family and to Nancy. And we loved FX. He was fabulous. And I just want Kerry to know that my deepest feelings go to him. So coming up now for the rest, which will take you up to John and Dwayne for baseball today from Scottsdale. Kerry Crowley next, right here. And I'll talk to you next Sunday, same time, right here on KNBR 680. Have a good day, everybody.
Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one! Deep right field! Gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warm-Up.
Way back there! Goodbye!
On the sports leader.
We are back here on Giants Warm-Up. Kerry Crowley helping get you set for Giants baseball coming your way this afternoon here on KNBR after the Giants opened up Cactus League play on Saturday with a 6-1 win over the Texas Rangers. They have their Scottsdale Stadium opener this afternoon against Terry Francona and the Cincinnati Reds. Logan Webb will take the mound for your San Francisco Giants. We will break down Webb, the opening day starter for the San Francisco Giants, and what he means to this Giants 2025 season here in our opening segment. But before we do, a quick recap of Saturday's action out in surprise as Bob Melvin's San Francisco Giants took on Bruce Bochy's Texas Rangers. Yes, I said this yesterday, I'll say it again. I will never get used to the fact that they are Bruce Bochy's Texas Rangers and the Giants are facing a Bochy-led team, but they'll do so. In the month of April, the Giants will welcome the Rangers to Oracle Park. They'll honor Brandon Crawford in the 13 seasons that he spent in a Giants uniform. They'll have a Brandon Crawford day. Bochy will be in attendance, of course, and it should be a great afternoon out of the ballpark in late April. But again, let's break down what we saw on Saturday. Some brief appearances from some Giants players who were out there, especially the starters, who most of which did not travel to Scottsdale. Landon Roop took the mound for the Giants and threw two very clean innings of baseball against the Texas Rangers. Roop, of course, going to be a factor in the fifth starter competition. And if he does not win the fifth starter job, he's obviously battling with Kyle Harrison, who's a week behind right now, Hayden Birdsong, who will see pitch behind Logan Webb this afternoon in Scottsdale. But Landon Roop showed that he could throw that curveball, continue to dot it for strikes. He struck out 3 Rangers hitters, did not allow a hit over 2 clean innings, did walk a batter on Saturday, but it was a very strong start. And I think that the Giants didn't take many intriguing arms, didn't take many guys who will have the possibility of breaking camp with the team over to surprise. But Roop is the one guy. He did his job. And then the other pitcher who I wanted to commend on a nice outing on Saturday afternoon, after Roop threw 2, you saw Romero coming to the game, Kaiwei Tang, Peguero. It was Cole Waits who came in, and Cole Waits is someone who made his debut a few seasons ago for the San Francisco Giants. Former 18th round draft pick. He was the closer at Low A San Jose for a team that won a championship. He kind of shot his way through the Giants farm system a few years ago with a fastball that was touching triple digits on the radar gun, and there were some high hopes that Waits could contribute to the Giants roster in 2024, but ultimately he ended up needing surgery. He was shut down for the year due to an injury, and he had a wiped out 2024 season. And so to see Cole Waits break through the way that he did, didn't strike out any batters on Saturday, but he was pumping high 90s velocity, which was really nice to see for the young man who has had a hard road. You know, you make your major league debut and you hope that you stick at the major league level. You hope that you carve out a role in the bullpen, you find your way into lineup cards moving forward for Bob Melvin's team, but that was not the case for Cole Waits a season ago, and so he comes into spring training looking for something to prove. He's off the radar in a way that you wouldn't have anticipated when he was climbing his way through the farm system. It's what happens when relievers get hurt, and sometimes they come back better than ever, and you hope that Cole Waits is able to do that this spring. So impressed by what we saw from Waits on Saturday afternoon against the Texas Rangers, and a few other players who stood out. I think anyone who followed along on Saturday heard the story of Bryce Eldridge, the Giants' top overall prospect, 2023 first-round draft pick out of high school. This kid is a sensation for a reason. Consensus top 50 prospect across Major League Baseball by nearly every outlet covering the minor leagues, and Eldridge hit a 450-foot home run out to center field, according to Alex Pavlich of NBC Sports Bay Area. I wasn't privy to the details of the home run, but I did see the highlight, and my goodness, what a shot from Eldridge, the strong, powerful, left-handed kid who the Giants have very high hopes for. So Eldridge, of course, shine with that home run. And then a few other players. Jung-Hoo Lee delivered a single over through the right side of the infield, 105 miles an hour on the first pitch that he saw on Saturday. Also an uncharacteristic strikeout, but hey, it's early in spring training. The Giants excited that they're seeing that strong exit velocity from Jung-Hoo Lee. Later on in the game, he was replaced by Grant McCray, who's, of course, part of the Giants' 40-man roster. They're excited to see more from McCray this season. And McCray, someone who I think could factor into that fifth outfielder competition right now. He's probably not going to be the leader in the clubhouse just because the Giants have Lee, a left-handed hitter, and of course Mike Yastrzemski, who's on the Major League roster. So you're probably not going to go with 3 left-handed hitting options in the outfield right away. But McCray did hit a home run late in that ball game against the Rangers, and he continued to show some of the power that surged for him in September a season ago. Luis Matos delivered a single and an RBI. Jake Lamb, who's going to be a factor in the designated hitter competition, he played some clean first base on Saturday afternoon and also went 2 for 3 with 2 hits. So you like to see that. And then Sam Huff, he got the Giants started on Saturday with the home run against his former squad, the Texas Rangers. Huff made his Major League debut during the 2020 season, didn't play in the big leagues in 2021, barely played in the big leagues last season in 24, but he was off the 40-man roster in Texas this year. So Sam Huff, who's got big league time in 4 of the last 5 seasons, he comes into camp with the San Francisco Giants looking for an opportunity. And with Tom Murphy dealing with this oblique injury at the beginning of spring training, you're going to see a lot of Huff over the next few weeks. And he showed the power. He also early in the game got an automatic ball strike call turned in favor for Landon Roop. Pitch that was called a ball. Huff challenged it with the new ABS system that's in play during some spring training games. He got that pitch called a strike. And that's something that's going to stand out to a manager like Bob Melvin, who, of course, was a catcher himself, pays very close attention to the way that the Giants handled themselves behind the plate. As I talked throughout the offseason with Bob Melvin and anyone who listened to our Giants Hot Stove League shows every Wednesday night, we did 12 of them leading into Cactus League play here in the spring. This is a catcher-driven organization. You've got Buster Posey making decisions at the very top. You've got Bob Melvin, a former Major League catcher. When the Giants were in their golden years, it was Bruce Bochy managing this team, a former Major League catcher. Patrick Bailey, the Gold Glove winner. The Giants want to set the tone with defense. They want to set the tone with clean fielding behind the plate. Bailey's the person to do that with. And so I think that anytime you see a catcher pop during spring training, anytime you see someone do something that is worth praising, which Sam Huff did yesterday, it's worth calling out because I could absolutely envision a scenario where the Giants kept 3 catchers on the opening day roster for some additional flexibility. They like what Huff offers, and I think that Tom Murphy, even though he's in year 2 of this $8 million deal that he signed with the San Francisco Giants, he was obviously injured for much of last season. That knee was never quite right. He came into camp feeling healthy, and a day later, after telling reporters that, he hurts his oblique swinging the bat. And so this is a situation where the Giants need depth behind the plate, and I think that Sam Huff put himself in the early pole position to, if Tom Murphy is going to miss any time this season, if they don't feel comfortable with him backing up Patrick Bailey coming out of spring training, Sam Huff's a name to watch during this Cactus League play stretch. And so excited to see more from him. Excited to see more from the San Francisco Giants this afternoon as they take on the Cincinnati Reds in the Scottsdale Stadium opener. Very much looking forward to this matchup against Terry Francona and his squad. And I think that this is kind of the matchup that Giants fans look forward to. You see Logan Webb on the mound at Scottsdale Stadium, and you start to feel like baseball is drawing closer to us. Opening day, just about a month away. Giants will open things up in the month of March, late March this season, and I'm very excited to see Logan Webb make his 4th consecutive opening day start for your San Francisco Giants. Bob Melvin didn't really need to make the announcement later on or this early during spring training, but he did so because Logan Webb has earned that, and I think he's earned the respect of everyone in the organization and now everyone across Major League Baseball. And so he's facing the Reds today, and they are the team that he'll face at Great American Ballpark, or as former Giants pitcher Jeff Samardzija used to call it, Great American Small Park, in the home opener for Cincinnati on Thursday, the 27th of March. So Logan Webb takes the ball today. And I wanted to touch on Webb's career to date for a moment because it was spring training of 2021 when he really put himself on the radar as someone who I think showed that he could be an ace at the major league level. And it took a while. It wasn't overnight for Logan Webb because this is someone who was drafted in the 4th round out of high school, out of Rockland in 2014, back when Dick Tidrow was kind of leading the Giants amateur scouting department, was assisting Brian Sabian in that regard. Tidrow, of course, responsible for finding arms like Matt Cain out of Tennessee, like Tim Lincecum out of Washington. Even though everyone was following along with Lincecum's career, the Giants were the team that bet on him coming out of the University of Washington. And then Madison Bumgarner, the left-handed pitcher out of a high school in North Carolina, at a time when, taking left-handed high school pitchers in the first round of the draft, it was an absolute risk to take for the Giants, and it paid off very early in Bumgarner's career. He was 20 years old when he came up and helped the Giants to that 2010 World Series title, and of course became a legend wearing number 40 in the Giants organization. Earlier this week, Webb touched on the fact that Bumgarner is someone that he's chasing in terms of opening day starts. Tim Lincecum, someone he's chasing in terms of opening day starts, and it's unlikely that anyone will top the 10 opening day starts that Juan Marichal made in a San Francisco Giants uniform, but Logan Webb, just 28 years old, poised to make his 4th opening day start. And you think about how he got into this position, and I was covering the team for the San Jose Mercury News back in 2021, entering that spring training when Webb was kind of looking for a role. You go back to the early days of his career. He came up at 22 years old and didn't pitch all that well. He showed some potential, some stuff, certainly the competitive demeanor at the end of that 2019 season when Bruce Bochy was on his way out as the manager of the San Francisco Giants. He made 8 starts, but he posted a 5.22 ERA, and I don't think the Giants viewed him as someone who was going to be a major part of their 2020 season at that juncture. He was probably going to start the year at AAA the following season. You didn't really know what you were going to be able to count on. And then come 2020, the truncated season kind of made a way for Logan Webb in a year where the Giants didn't feel like they needed to give veteran pitchers as many opportunities, where Jeff Samardzija was dealing with injuries, Johnny Cueto dealing with injuries. Webb ended up, over the course of 60 games, making 11 starts for the Giants, appearing in 13 games, but he didn't pitch that well. He 54 1/3 innings in that 2020 season and a 5.47 ERA. And at that point, there were a lot of Giants fans who were ready to kind of turn on Logan Webb and say, this is yet another prospect who the Giants have billed as someone who could be great at the major league level, who hasn't delivered yet. Because remember, that was 20 starts really into his major league career, 20 appearances into his major league career over 2 seasons, and he was still just 23 years old. And you got the sense that, hey, maybe this guy's more of a bullpen arm, maybe he doesn't quite fit in the rotation. But credit to Logan Webb, who reinvented himself the following year, coming into 2021, focusing on the changeup, the slider, and that two-seam fastball, the sinker, that's just been a dominant weapon for Logan Webb ever since the start of 2021. And I remember coming into spring training, and guys work on different pitches from time to time, and they're focused on different things. They want to make sure that their stuff is crisp and that they're getting the most out of their arm angle. And they've got all these analytics and numbers that can tell them what to throw. But until you get out there in the bullpen, and until you get out there in Scottsdale and actually start working on things against real big league hitters, it's hard to decipher what actually works for you. And that spring, Webb unveiled the changeup, and he just showed how lethal that pitch could be when you mixed it with the slider that he had. And he ends up being the story of the spring for the San Francisco Giants that year. I mean, 2021, we all remember as the 107-win season and kind of a revival year for Buster Posey, Brandon Crawford, and Brandon Belt. But I remember just vividly back in Cactus League play how many swings and misses Webb was getting with his changeup. And it got to the point where the Giants couldn't ignore the results anymore. Yes, he was a pitcher with a limited track record who didn't really belong based on his 2019 and 2020 statistics. But what he did during spring training in 2021 forced his way into the rotation for the first series of the season. So he goes out there against the Seattle Mariners, and he just had this dominant spring where he struck out everyone, where no one could really touch him up. And April 3rd, he faces off against the Mariners up in Seattle, and he looks nothing like the pitcher that we saw during spring training. And I remember going into the year betting big on Logan Webb having the breakout. I remember talking to Kyle Haynes, the Giants farm director, who was so of the belief that this was going to be Webb's year and that finally everyone outside the Giants organization would see what people inside the organization saw. And Webb goes out against the Mariners, and they sat on that changeup all night long up at T-Mobile Park. They teed off on it. He ends up giving up 7 hits, 3 walks, 3 earned runs over 5 1/3 innings. And I remember it really felt like it could have been worse that night because they were just sitting there. They weren't biting on the slider off the outside corner. They weren't really letting the fastball overwhelm them. And they sat there and they hit the changeup. And I thought, this is the difference between spring training and big league talent. This is the difference between guys who can get players out down in Scottsdale and Cactus League play and guys who can get people out the big league level on a consistent basis. And he really struggled over the next few starts. He was pulled out of the rotation after giving up 8 hits against the Colorado Rockies on April 10th that year, 3 earned runs. He ends up making an appearance out of the bullpen against the Cincinnati Reds later on. And then he hurts his shoulder in the month of May. He gets to a point where he's just not able to throw with any sort of velocity, throw with any sort of tempo. And after sitting out, the Giants made the decision to bring Logan Webb back as a starting pitcher. They stretched him out in the minor leagues, and even though they had a lot of starters in their rotation, and even though Webb was still kind of in between, remember he had like a 3.86 ERA at the time when he went down with the shoulder injury. He was coming off an outstanding outing against the Los Angeles Dodgers, a team that to that point in his career he'd actually figured out pretty darn well. And he ends up coming back from the injured list after a 6-week stint on July 9th, and this is where his career turns around to me. This is where Logan Webb becomes the everyday reliable ace that the Giants have been able to count on for 4 years now. And he comes out against the Washington Nationals, very limited pitch count, but they were kind of hampered with the number of injuries that they had on their starting staff at the time. 3 innings, 1-run ball, 4 strikeouts in a victory over the Nationals. And then his next time out is after the All-Star break. Kevin Gossman has to be scratched because he's dealing with, his wife went into labor. There were some complications there, so Gossman had to step away from the team at the time. Webb makes the spot start. He goes 4 innings, 5 hits, 1 run against the St. Louis Cardinals. And from that point forward, Logan Webb simply dominated the rest of the major leagues. There was only one start from July 9th up until September 7th when Webb allowed more than 2 runs in an outing, and he proved by the end of the season with a 3.03 ERA. Giants could count on him moving forward. Final day of the regular season, Giants are going up against the San Diego Padres looking for win number 107, a win that would clinch them the National League West, and Logan Webb absolutely shoved through the first 6 innings. He ends up giving up 4 runs over 7, but the Giants left him in there a little bit longer because that game was well in hand. They won it 11-4. They ended up sending Logan Webb to the mound 5 days later. He had supplanted Kevin Gossman as the number 1 in the Giants rotation against the Los Angeles Dodgers in the NLDS that season. He goes out on the national stage, once again proves himself. From that point forward, Logan Webb has been the man in San Francisco, and it's been so fun to watch. And so it's just a reminder of how he burst onto the scene with that incredible 2021 spring training, even after the struggles early in his career. So, someone like a Keaton Wynn who's struggled in his career, someone like a Tristan Beck who hasn't had consistent opportunities, someone like a Kyle Harrison who was billed as a top prospect, but maybe hasn't lived up to that potential just yet. It's all a reminder. Don't give up because of what you see early in the regular season. Allow these players to make adjustments. Allow them to learn more about themselves at the big league level. Get confident and see what can happen. And since that point, since the Giants allowed Logan Webb to see what can happen, he's become one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Appeared on Cy Young ballots in each of the last 3 seasons, finishing 11th in Cy Young voting in the National League in 2022 when he had a 2.90 ERA over 192 innings. 2023, he finishes 2nd in Cy Young voting after he throws a major league leading 216 innings, 3.25 ERA. And last year, he finishes 6th, making his first All-Star team, 6th in National League Cy Young Award voting, 204 innings, led Major League Baseball, 841 batters faced, led Major League Baseball, 33 games started, led Major League Baseball, 3.47 ERA, outstanding for the San Francisco Giants. Logan Webb moves forward. He is the face of this organization, at least on the mound. Buster Posey has always trusted him as a critical figure, and now more than ever, Buster has put a lot on Logan Webb's plate as a leader. He takes the mound today against the Cincinnati Reds. It kicks off the home slate in Scottsdale, and that has kicked off our Giants warm-up here on KNBR. Opening day, just a month around the corner. It's the same matchup, Giants and the Reds, that you will hear at the top of the hour here on KNBR. I'm Kerry Crowley. This is Giants warm-up. More when we come back. You're listening to KNBR 104.5, 680, the sports leader.
It's almost time for hot dogs, peanuts, cold beers, and orange and black baseball. Our Giants warm-up rolls on the sports leader.
Welcome back to Giants Baseball on the radio. It's Giants warm-up. Kerry Crowley, your host, as we get you set for the Giants against the Cincinnati Reds this afternoon. The Scottsdale Stadium opener after your San Francisco Giants opened up Cactus League play on Saturday afternoon, out in surprise with a 6-1 win over the Texas Rangers. Top prospect Bryce Eldridge went deep, hitting a mammoth 450-foot home run. Outfielder Grant McCray, catcher Sam Huff also homered. We don't expect the Giants to be a big power team this year, although they do have Willie Adames, Matt Chapman, and Elliot Ramos in their everyday lineup, penciled in there for Bob Melvin. But we did see the power explosion on Saturday against the Rangers, and hopefully a sign of what's to come for many of these Giants players during spring training. But what I want to focus on here today as we get you set for Giants baseball, San Francisco against Cincinnati this afternoon at Scottsdale Stadium. First pitch coming your way at 12:05 Pacific Time, 1:05 Mountain Time down there in the desert. Logan Webb takes the ball for the San Francisco Giants. And obviously, if you were tuned in last segment, we just touched on his odyssey through Major League Baseball and how 2019, 2020 don't exactly go according to plan for Logan Webb, but it doesn't deter him at all. He shows up to spring training in 2021, a different pitcher with a different arsenal. The changeup was outstanding, and ever since then, he's learned to pitch, learn to attack and get guys out, even on days when he doesn't have his best stuff. And it's something that I've really admired about Logan Webb. Being a true three-pitch guy, let's say the changeup isn't there or the slider isn't there. I think, 2019, 2020, that would have been the downfall for him. He would have really fell into a hole and, he would have become predictable. I think now he's able to trust that his stuff can still help him out. And so even if the changeup isn't perfect on a given day, he's still willing to throw it. Even if the slider isn't as sharp on a given day, he still knows that he needs to use that pitch to be able to get the two-seam arm action with the sinker and get guys hitting the ball into the ground, which is something that Logan Webb does so well. It's why he's the ace of the Giants staff. It's why he kind of epitomizes what the Giants are looking for in their starting pitchers. Ground ball guys who consistently get outs and don't leave things to chance in the air. It's why you love him at Oracle Park, because you've got Matt Chapman and Willie Adames on the left side of the infield, but you also love him where he'll pitch on opening day in Cincinnati, Great American Small Park, a hitter's paradise out there in Ohio. You like Webb because he leaves the ball on the ground. The ball's low in the zone, and when guys do make hard contact, it's oftentimes for just singles and doubles. He's not giving up a whole lot of home runs. And so let's keep things focused on the pitching side this afternoon as we prepare you for Giants baseball, because after Logan Webb takes the mound today, the Giants will send Hayden Birdsong to the mound, and this is a young pitcher who's competing for the fifth slot in the rotation, with Kyle Harrison kind of coming in to camp a week behind everyone else, dealing with some fatigue right now. Hayden Birdsong takes the mound, and he might have the upper hand, even after Landon Roop threw 2 innings, 3 strikeouts on Saturday to set the tone against the Texas Rangers. The Giants just love the pure stuff that Hayden Birdsong brings to the table. Last year when he made his Major League debut, we saw the four-seamer, the curveball, the changeup, and the slider. And what I loved about the mix was he was not afraid to throw any of these pitches. The four-seamer averaged 95.8 miles an hour. So when he was out there in the first, second, third innings, he was oftentimes touching 97, 98 with the fastball, which is really impressive for a pitcher who had spent much of his career to that point as a reliever. He was a reliever at the college level. He was a reliever when he came into the Giants farm system as a 6th-round draft pick in 2022 out of Eastern Illinois. And it was really entering last season where the Giants said, there are 4 true pitches here, and we need to stretch him out, because when you've got 4 pitches, you can't be confined to the 6th, the 7th, the 8th innings. You need to see what you can do in innings 1 through 5 and then expand things beyond there, innings 1 through 7. And I think that's going to be the big challenge for Hayden Birdsong this year, is what can he do to go from facing a team the first time through the order to mastering them the second time through the order, and then giving Bob Melvin the confidence to stick with him the third time through the order, because he's got all the weapons. He even has a luxury that Logan Webb does not have, and that is the ability to mix in a curveball alongside that fastball, that changeup, and that slider. He threw it 18.7% of the time last year, and the curveball was just an outstanding offering for Birdsong. It flummoxed hitters. He picked up 27 strikeouts with the curveball, just 25 with the fastball, 18 with the change, 18 with the slider last year. Opponents hit 145 with a 218 slug. So when he threw it, it was one of the best pitches in baseball. The challenge for Birdsong, in my opinion, is to throw that pitch more often, but maybe to dial back the four-seam usage, get that curveball usage up over 20-25% this season, and become more comfortable using the changeup and using the slider in situations where opponents start to sit curveballs. So, hey, first time through the order, he's dominating with the four-seamer. He's dominating with the curve because those are his bread and butter pitches. But then second time through the order, when he gets in a 1-2 count, when he's ahead and has the opportunity to put hitters away, they sit curve. Maybe they see slider. And maybe he figures out a way to back up guys with the changeup. And I think that if Birdsong is able to throw all four pitches effectively, you're going to see someone who's taken on some of the wisdom and some of the knowledge that Justin Verlander can share with this staff. And Verlander is someone who Giants fans will see later on this week. He's going to follow this game on Sunday. He'll pitch on Monday. I don't have it in front of me whether he's facing the Rockies or the Angels on Monday, but I look forward either way to seeing Verlander take on an opponent and pitch in a Giants uniform, because Verlander's also someone who's gotten by with incredible stuff in his major league career, but more so than that, because to make the major leagues, you kind of need incredible stuff. He's got by learning how to use that stuff in sophisticated ways, and I think that of any young pitcher on the Giants staff, maybe no one will benefit from Justin Verlander's presence more so than Hayden Birdsong, because Verlander, like Birdsong, is a true four-pitch guy who uses all four pitches relatively evenly, especially those two primary secondary offerings for Verlander. You know, the fastball's so good. Last year, he averaged 93.4 miles an hour with it. It wasn't quite the fastball that it was 2 years ago when he won the Cy Young Award, when he averaged 95 with the fastball, but he's also able to throw his curveball and his slider in the out-pitch situations. He's turned to his changeup. It's been an effective weapon for him through the years when necessary. And I think when you're able to use those secondary offerings 15, 20% of the time, as Verlander has through his career, I think it puts hitters in a situation where they're down on the count 0-2 or 1-2, and they have no idea what's coming next because the pitcher has all of the advantage, understanding that when you can go to anything at any time and you can effectively throw those curveballs and sliders for strikes, you're going to keep hitters guessing. So when they see a fastball, they're late. When they see a curveball, they're swinging over it thinking that it was the slider. And when they see a pitch with bite, you know, the changeup, maybe they're laying off of it and you'd spot it at the bottom of the zone. And so I think that Verlander's got the opportunity during spring training to show the Giants a number of different things. But more importantly than anything over the next 5-6 years, Verlander's 1-year tenure in a San Francisco Giants uniform could benefit the future ace of this rotation in Hayden Birdsong if he's able to morph into that. Because I opened up today's show talking about Logan Webb and all that he's meant to the San Francisco Giants over the last 4 years as he prepares to make his fourth consecutive opening day start against the Cincinnati Reds. But Birdsong's someone who, look, he showed us the ceiling last year, but he didn't reach that ceiling in a Giants uniform. That's where I think things can get so fun because, well, Harrison's more of a three-pitch guy, and at this point in his career, probably a two-pitch guy until he really refines that breaking ball, whether he decides to use a curveball or a slider this year. I think it's kind of out in the open. Landon Roop, really a two-pitch guy right now with the fastball and the curveball. You want to see that changeup get used more often, and he maybe can become the three-pitch guy. It's Birdsong whose stuff is ahead of everyone else, and that's why it should give him the upper hand in this rotation. I think that Harrison's competitive demeanor is something that will always stand out to Buster Posey, always stand out to Bob Melvin. They trust him. He showed, even at 22, 23 years old, that on his worst days, he could get guys out and get ground balls when needed, whereas I think Birdsong on his worst days, things tend to spiral a little bit more. He's not comfortable throwing any of those four pitches, but on his best days, he can be better than any other pitcher on the Giants staff. And maybe this season, that could include Logan Webb. You know, we're talking about a pitcher who, if he puts everything together in Hayden Birdsong, if the fastball continues to touch 96, 97 in the early innings, if the curveball is something that he can throw upward of 20% of the time this year, if the changeup and the slider are reliable weapons, then you've got someone who looks like a number one or a number two. And I would imagine that when the Giants were trying to make phone calls this offseason, Susan Slusser reported that they were interested in Luis Castillo of the Seattle Mariners. I think that, you know, any team calling the St. Louis Cardinals was probably, dangling a prospect or two to try to get Nolan Arenado, even though Arenado kind of controls the cards with that no-trade clause. There's a number of other players who were moved this offseason. Garrett Crochet of the Chicago White Sox. Luis Roberts' name came up in a number of deals. I would imagine that just about every team, after asking about Bryce Eldridge and being told, it's a hard no from the San Francisco Giants, I would venture to guess that they all asked about Hayden Birdsong. Because while the raw numbers weren't that impressive a season ago, 4.75 ERA over 16 games, 72 innings, what you saw from a stuff standpoint will stick with Giants fans. They know that Birdsong can get guys out. And here's the real differentiator for me in the mind of Birdsong. So while he had a 4.75 ERA and 6 losses and 16 starts, in 72 innings, he struck out 88 batters. And as long as the velocity's there this season, as long as he's comfortable using the off-speed pitches in the same situations that he was a season ago, he's only going to get better. You're only going to see those strikeout numbers continue to climb up. And I think it's Verlander who can help unlock the potential of Hayden Birdsong. I think it's Verlander who, he has the same 4 pitches. He's got through 20 years of his major league career at an elite level. Cy Young Awards in 3 different seasons, the first coming in 2011, the last of those 3 coming in 2022. I mean, that's a decade of pure dominance. First All-Star nod in 2007, last All-Star nod 15 years later in 2022. If he's able to share some of that wisdom and impart some of the pitching knowledge on Hayden Birdsong, it has the potential to have a long-lasting effect on this Giants rotation that will go well beyond the 1 year that Verlander spends in a Giants uniform. It's reminiscent of the way that Randy Johnson helped Giants pitchers in 2009 as a 45-year-old, 22 games, 17 starts, 4.88 ERA. We don't remember those numbers for Randy Johnson. We remember the fact that he got his 300th win in a Giants uniform, and he was helping out Tim Lincecum and Matt Cain, setting the tone with a winning culture in a Giants uniform. And that's what this organization needs to focus on this year. If you think about the changes that Buster Posey wants to make, and I talked about this a lot on Saturday's Giants warm-up, this is a team that didn't make many adjustments to its roster this offseason. They went 80 and 82 last season. Buster Posey said, you know what? More so than bringing in 15, 20 new players, we need to bring in a completely different mentality, approach, and philosophy to the game of baseball. So he went out and he signed Willy Adames to a 7-year, $182 million contract. Willy Adames, known as one of the most competitive players in all of baseball and the very best shortstop in the market. The other move that he made was to bring in a 42-year-old pitcher, known for his competitive demeanor, known for his dominance on the mound, his fearlessness, and that nature of never giving up, no matter how much his back is against the wall on a major league mound. And if Justin Verlander can instill that mindset in a Birdsong, in a Roop, in a Beck, in a Wynn, the Giants will be that much better. We know that Randy Johnson's 2009 impact went well beyond the 2009 season. It made an impact on Tim Lincecum, Matt Cain, and ultimately Madison Bumgarner when he came through the organization in 2010 and made his major league debut. Well, he made his major league debut at the end of the 2009 season, but that's neither here nor there. All it is to say is the Giants want to shift in approach and mentality, philosophy. They want to play winning baseball, and they want to do so with a fearless mindset. Justin Verlander sets the tone. Hayden Birdsong is the person who benefits more than any other Giants player when that tone is shifted, when he learns to pick up the lessons that Justin Verlander is willing to put down. Birdsong on the mound behind Webb today. Giants baseball coming your way in just a few minutes here on KNBR 104.5 680, the sports leader.
Now back to the show built for the orange and black family. This is Giants Warm Up on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, we are back here on Giants Warm-Up. Kerry Crowley getting you set for Giants baseball coming your way from the desert. First pitch this afternoon out at Scottsdale Stadium. The Giants open up their home spring training slate. Slated for 12:05 here on KNBR, 105 down in the desert. Looking forward to this matchup as Logan Webb takes the mound for the Giants. As we just mentioned, Hayden Birdsong will follow him, piggybacking in Sunday afternoon's ball game for the Giants. So as we get you set for Giants baseball, the broadcast crew will have the short abbreviated version of our pregame show, as we'll carry every Saturday, Sunday game down in the desert here on KNBR. And then Bill Lasky will be hanging with you post-game to break down everything that you saw against the Cincinnati Reds, and really everything that you heard against the Cincinnati Reds, because a lot of these spring training games limited to just radio broadcasts. So we're going to help preview the 2025 season. I know that Bill will be taking your calls on Extra Innings this afternoon, one of my favorite shows. Love listening to Bill on Saturday, and I can't wait to do so throughout the 162-game regular season that's coming your way starting March 27th. You can catch every single game here on the KNBR airwaves. So before I turn things over to our Giants broadcaster crew, I do want to make note of something that we saw transpire on Saturday out in Surprise, and that was Bryce Eldridge with a 450-foot bomb to dead center field. Credit Alex Pavlich for the ultimate distance on that home run. I think Shayna Rubin tweeted out the San Francisco Chronicle that had left his bat at 110 miles an hour. And I want to say this. I did a lot of Giants Hot Stove this offseason, 12 shows in total. We carried you through from late November to this week when we had some great guests on the show on Wednesday night as well. And throughout the offseason, I kind of pleaded with the Giants, saying, sign a first baseman, trade for a first baseman. I don't think that the situation with Lamont Wade Jr. and Wilmer Flores and also needing their bats as designated hitters and maybe Wade as a corner outfielder is sustainable. I just don't know that is a long-term solution for the San Francisco Giants. So I was disappointed when they missed out on Paul Goldschmidt. Still feel like, Anthony Rizzo could have been an option at some point in free agency. I just believe that there were creative ways to think about first base, and maybe the Giants didn't exercise them. Because I've also been of the belief that Bryce Eldridge probably isn't going to be ready during the first half of the season. But one at bat in, and I may have to change my mind. I know that we're not supposed to read too much into spring training stats. And I know that you're not supposed to just look at what happens on the first day of spring training and draw big picture conclusions. But if you've got a 20-year-old hitting 450-foot homers with producing exit velocity of 110 plus miles an hour, it is within the realm of possibility that maybe this guy's just different. And I've become so accustomed through the years of thinking that, hey, just because the Giants believe a prospect is good, and just because the industry tells you their prospect has all sorts of potential, doesn't mean that things are going to work out for them. Look at Marco Luciano, who was billed as the next Brandon Crawford at the shortstop position. We all know how that's worked out. He's playing left field in spring training. There's a number of different players. Joey Bart was the number 2 overall pick. You had Tyler Beatty, Phil Bickford drafted in the same first round in 2014. I mean, guys with unlimited potential who never lived up to it at the major league level. But you get the sense that Bryce Eldridge might be different. And again, it's just a might. It's just a hope. It's just a sliver of optimism for Giants fans who've become so accustomed to top prospects coming through the farm system and disappointing. But if the Giants didn't touch first base because they think that by the end of the season, Eldridge will be ready to go, by July, August, September, this is the guy who can carry them down the stretch, bring some much-needed left-handed power to their order, that will have been a shrewd evaluation by Buster Posey, Zach Manassian, and company. Because if this kid, at 20, 21 years old, comes up to the big leagues and proves he can be a valid middle-of-the-order bat, it will solve a world of problems for this team, and it will instill so much confidence in this front office. Again, who's to say what kind of a year Bryce Eldridge has? Who knows what's in store for the rest of his spring training? All I know is this. 450 feet and 110 miles an hour off the bat are not numbers that even everyday great major leaguers produce. And so when you get those kind of raw data figures telling you what a player's potential is, it's worth reading into that. It's worth getting excited. It's worth feeling hopeful. It's worth believing that Eldridge can one day be the anchor at first base that so many other prospects who were supposed to be great players at various positions and never panned out to be them, Bryce Eldridge can end that run for the San Francisco Giants. So we've got to turn things over to our Giants broadcast crew. Logan Webb takes the mound today against the Cincinnati Reds. Hayden Birdsong will follow. I am Kerry Crowley. Today's Giants warm-up. Stay tuned. After today's broadcast, Bill Lasky has extra innings for you right here on KNBR 104.5 680, the sports leader.
KNBR, the sports leader. The ring of the cable car.